Where do we begin? I'm going to go through a breakdown of this music video that I directed recently. In brief, I'm just going to go through the process of this video, of making this video from start to finish, and also cover the production, kind of some lighting setups and these kinds of things. So for this project, I got a call where the director who was supposed to direct it sadly got COVID. The shoot was happening that weekend and I had like 4 hours to make a treatment. So what does one do when they're told to do that? They stay up till the late night, order curry, and get their flatmate, Faraz, to help me make a treatment. We did this all on Figma. For me, it works super good because you can actually both work on the same treatment at the same time. I have a template that I made a while back, and I just loaded in a bunch of photos from this massive library of inspiration that I have. Whenever I watch a video, I take a screenshot and I throw it into Figma, and this is why I love Figma so much. It's free, firstly, and secondly, you can just store tons and tons of photos. So if I need to whip up a treatment in 4 hours and have to send it and present to the record label and client the next day, it's not so stressful. The initial idea of this treatment that I presented was to have them in the ocean. The location was already set, so I wanted to still use this ocean, but I wanted them to go inside the ocean. Later on that day, I walked outside. I had 3 layers on, I had long johns on, I had my boots on, and I froze my balls off. At which point I said, I am not gonna make these 2 artists go anywhere near that fucking water. I wanted a fire, that was in the treatment, couldn't have a fire. 3 or 4 days later, we end up going up to the location, me and the director of photography, Jakob. We location scouted. This video was shot in the north of Germany, so they call it the East Sea. It's the north of Germany. It was rough. The wind was so rough on the beach. As the director for pre-production, I put in around 2 days of work because I had to develop a shot list with Jakob. Just back and forth with phone calls to get clear on gear, rental, these kinds of things, and what we needed. We had 6 hours to shoot this thing. Did I mention that already? Which was a challenge for me and a great one, which put me under a lot of pressure. I had 60 to 70 shots, which if you divide 60 to 70 by 6 hours, that's like, I don't know, like 7 minutes per shot or something ridiculous, which is just not possible. I kind of went into Millernote also. I love using Millernote because I can have the shot list on my phone. I don't have to carry my laptop to the set. In this case, I labeled the shots, added the motion to the shots, what kind of motion that was happening, what was the actor doing, what's the actress doing, and I kept it super, super brief, but also detailed enough that I understand, and then also detailed enough that Jakob, the director of photography, could understand. There's a few sort of like levels at which you go through a shot list, and I think the initial shot list was not so detailed, before the production happened, and then after the location scout, this really determines also how the shots come out, because once you know your location, then you know what kind of shots we can get. So, gear. Something I don't care so much about. I'm going to go through it really briefly to satisfy that habit for cinematographers as well. We shot on the ARRI Alexa Mini. We shot with some older style lenses called Kinoptic lenses. Never used them before. We had an 18.5mm, a 40mm, and a 75mm.
What lens have we got?
28.
It's really good. Lights. All of that shit was battery powered. We were shooting in the wilderness, in the beach, and in the woods, and nothing was powered by mains. We had a set of Asteras, like a bunch, and then we had aperture 600D and aperture 300D. At some point on the shoot, the weather got so bad, we had to get off the beach. The managers of the artists said, "Can we get off the beach? We don't want to risk them getting ill." And I totally understood that. And so, 10 or 15 of my shots just had to be stopped. We had to retreat back from the beach. It was horrendous. It was crazy. The wind was crazy. I made them run around a bit, perform a lot of performance. I shot a bunch of cheesy shots that Hannes, the editor, never used. I really don't blame him. I got them to sing into the wind, and if you look at the video, I'll show it now. Here, I didn't ask them to have these tears. I never told them to cry. It was just so windy that their eyeballs just couldn't retain any moisture. I'm super, super proud of both Nina and Vincent and the rest of the crew for just hanging in there and not dying on this shoot because it was so cold. They had incredible performances in the end, and honestly, the tears make it super good. The song is called Zorn und Liebe. It's like, means love and hate. I'm pronouncing that wrong probably. I also ended up operating the camera at some point, which is always fun for the lower back. I'm gonna cover quickly now the night scenes and the lighting scenes. For the red shots, we used the 600D, I believe, and then shaped it with the spotlight mount, I believe, and used some deep red gel over the top. I wanted to shoot these scenes in blue hour because I love this contrast between blue and red. It's something I've done in my videos before. I just love it. It looks so good. We had some asteras behind the trees to give a little bit of depth and just make the image a little bit more interesting. So for this shot, where we do this classic sort of commercial style light beamy effect, I call it, I'm pretty sure Jakob decided to use the Aperture 600D or maybe another light and bounced it into some foam, used some floppies either side to make sure that it didn't just spill everywhere, and directed it onto them. So we had this sort of, how do you call it, sort of soft ambient light on them so that they weren't completely in the dark. And then we had the 300D doing this sort of laser light thing. We also did the same sort of lasery effect with this red beam instead. That was basically it for production. It was so intense. They did such a good job putting up with this cold ass weather. So thank you, Vincent and Nina, for surviving. Ran it through with an editor called Hannes. He is an absolute beast. He gave me a first draft and I was like, okay, it's pretty much done. Sent off the video to the client. They gave a first round of feedback. We edited it, made some adjustments. Yeah, so we chose to shoot this video in 16:9, and in post, Hannes, the editor, ended up just closing it down like really tight with letterboxes to just add more emphasis to each sort of shot. Honestly, I must have spent around 4 hours in total on this edit, overseeing the edit, because Hannes was so quick and so good and precise. Everything I suggested to him, he was like, yep, tried it. This is the reason it didn't work. And I love it when you can just have that communication with somebody and you trust them, because he's a very, very talented editor for sure. We then got it out to Ben Packer, who's a color grader. What do you love about being in a dark room all day, Ben?
I actually don't love being here.
Here are some before and afters. I love seeing these because it just shows what color grading can do, especially on Ari. Yeah, really, he's so damn good. We added some glow to the highlights at many points, and then we also added some Gaussian blur around the outside just to make it a little bit more interesting. And the color grading took around 8 hours a day in total, which is normal to color grade. So I would have loved to have taken this project on right at the start and would have definitely changed the concept drastically. However, taking on this project was just like an amazing sort of lesson for me to just learn and work with very talented people. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've gained a little bit of insight towards how you can approach directing and shooting your own videos. The reason I do this is because I am self-taught and learned everything I know from YouTube, and this is for my younger self who would have loved to have known these kinds of things maybe 4 years ago. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.